Hi everybody, welcome to another installment of How Pop Music Works Live. Today we're talking about Taylor Swift and her 2014 smash, Shake It Off. It's written by Taylor and Max Martin, the great Max Martin, and Shellback, his collaborator. And it's a great example of how Max Martin and Taylor Swift are songwriters who can take the same notes as everybody else, the same chords as everybody else, sometimes very basic ones, as we'll see in this song, and turn out pop ear candy over and over and over again. So let's start with the chords, because there's not a lot to cover here. And so we are in the key of G. I set the key signature to C, but since I don't think we use any F sharps in here, we can just leave that. So pretend this has one sharp as the key of G. So we're going to start on 2. In this case, that if we're in G, diatonic 2 is going to be A minor. Then we go to 4, C major. And now we're going to go to 1, G major. And that's the whole song right there. It's just A minor, 2, C major, 4, and G major, 1. Now that's one chord progression, 3 chords, and it is very 2010s post EDM, in which we have a lot of the pop songs that were at the top of the charts usually only had one chord progression. There's only 3 or 4 chords in that chord progression, and they repeat over and over and over again. It's very effective though, because at the time the melodies they used and the production around them was just top notch. It's like 2010s pop. There's a lot of stuff that still holds up there within that very specific style. Now that particular chord progression, it's interesting. It is the only other thing I know it from is something that's very not 2010s pop, which is did you catch it? If you didn't, that's Comfortably Numb. Have become comfortably numb. Right? So there are other songs that we hear that have a 1, 2, 4 is pretty common, especially with the major 2. Counting Blue Cars, Forget You by CeeLo. There's also 1 to 4 and 4 to 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, 3, 2, 1. Or we're talking about like Blinded by the Light. Something like that, just repeating. But yeah, Shake It Off, the 2, 4, 1 is not a common one, but it's really effective here. And it's also one of the reasons why it's so effective is it constantly creates momentum, as we go from this kind of dark 2 chord to this brighter 4 chord, and 4 goes naturally to 1, a plagal cadence. It's a fancy term for it. And because we never have a dominant 7th, we never really have, or anything like that, or even, especially, we don't even have a 5 chord period. We don't have any. It gives it this really modern kind of streamlined sound where we always go from, again, like minor to major, then pulling us back to 1, but we never have that kind of older or sound that might halt or put a damper on any kind of momentum that we'd get from having a 5 in there. Or make it sound like that 1 is too settled. So 2, 4, 1. Not used all that often, but great progression. It's a classic for this song, if nothing else. So let's take a look at our melody, because we already have that. That's the chords we hear in the verse. That's what we hear in the pre-chorus, and that is what we hear in the chorus. The bridge has the unusual distinction of not having any chords. It's just a beat with something essentially close to spoken word over it, and then we don't get any chord progression back till the chorus kicks back in to run to the song's outro, and that's the rest of the song. So with that in mind, let's take a look at the melody. The melody is a hook fest. Like, every part of this is catchy, like start to finish. I don't know if that's T Swift or Max Martin, like, who was kind of responsible for generating that initially. I know the melody has like lots of Max Martin touches of seeming like it's really simple, but like every little bit of it is like just the right amount of repetition and catchiness that you can hear it over and over again, and at the same time it never really gets old. It just stays very catchy. And let's start out here. So we have our verse melody. Now all of this is set to G pentatonic. When I said that Max and Taylor are working with tools that everybody else has, in some cases simple tools, one of those things that I'm referring to is all the melodies are made up of the G pentatonic scale. So G, A, B, D, E, G, A, B, D, E, G. Right? And usually a pentatonic is associated with like very diatonic folk melodies, like a melody where it just might be a series of short phrases, it's repeated a bunch of times, and it's used for something like a strophic folk song, or a song with one verse and one melody that essentially repeats over and over again with different lyrics. Or it's sometimes derided as being the basis of overly simple instrumental solos. Well, Shake It Off is, like I said, a very slick, very well thought out pop song, and even with all that, its melody is exclusively made up of the G pentatonic scale. So, verse. So what we have there, so we start in the 5, the pentatonic scale, 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, 5, 3, 2, 1, 3, just repeating again, 5, 3, 2, 1, okay, and the third one we have to throw in a little variation, 3, 2, 1, 6, 5, which is a note that it's pretty stable, but not as stable as 1. Repeat that again. Ooh, ooh. So that's our verse, and all of these melodies, as you can hear through like each bar, they stay pretty much the same, but that allows them to go over the chords, and each one of those notes that we hear held out changes based on the chord it's over. So we have, so this A minor, that's a 9th. Okay, again. Now over the C major, it's a major 7th. Ooh. And now we have settling on the tonic over the tonic, but not too settled because we have this little going down to 6/5. So yeah, just the right mix of like settling on the 3rd or the 5th to keep momentum going. We don't stop on the tonic, and doing it in such a way that it creates these cool color tones over the verse chords. Okay, so we got that. So brilliant thing number one, like simple melodies, so many things that come out of that. And even like the pickup, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, da 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 da. The fact that it has that pickup, do 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 do, but it hits right in the downbeat, do 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 do, do 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 do, do 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 do. It's a bold move because sometimes a lot of verses will start out with a melody that starts offbeat to kind of build something for coming in on the beat for the chorus or hitting it on a hook. But then Taylor Swift and Max are just like, nope, we're going straight out. Or we're going straight out for holding a melody rate on there, I guess, of the first one that does start off beat. But having that key note hit on the downbeat. Okay, we got that. So now we go to the pre-chorus. So same chords again. Right now. But I keep. Okay, so now we got this emphasizing different tones now because we have 2, 6. Little bit less stable now, a little bit more dissonant, but it works because we're over in this A minor. And now we're gonna go. And now we're gonna go over the C major, is gonna create and imply a nice C6 chord. And now we're gonna go. And we end on 1 over the tonic chord. So we end on something that should be kind of just stable. So we have the. But the whole thing is, the song has trained us up to this point to expect that as soon as we land that 1 chord, it's going to go. So it's never really going to be stable. Do, 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 do. Like, that should be super stable. That should be like. Do, 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 do. If we did like a standard 2 dominant 5 7 1 there, that would be just like, okay, cool, that's the end of that. But we don't do that there. Like, we've been set up so that we hear. And we don't have this here, but in a different song we'd have this. But instead, this song just goes. And that little pickup, 'cause the, is our lead into the chorus. Okay, so we got our verse, our pre-chorus, same chords, we got this melody thing repeating. And like I said, like first one emphasizes 5 and 3. And second one has this emphasis on 2 and 6 in the scale to give us some variety. And like I said, ends on our tonic, but really wants to keep going. And now here again, brilliant thing. So normally it, if you just go down the scale, it's considered to be not the most inventive or creative way of forming a melody. But that's exactly what they do here, and it's as catchy as all get out. So now a chorus. Right down the scale. And now. And we're also here to get to hear rhythmic phrasing. So one of the big things that makes a difference in all these things is phrasing and structure. We said like how Swift and Martin will either settle on a note that's not the tonic, or they'll have a pickup that leads to a really strong note on the downbeat, but it's not settled. It's something that wants to keep going. Or in this case, it's how we have on this 1 and 2, just these quarter notes, and then it's like, which normally wouldn't be very interesting, but here it works. And then we have, and here's our little hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just that. And it hits right in the downbeat. We talk on my other channel, and on this we talk a lot about hooks. And this one, it just that have that 1, 2, 3, 4. Shake it off, shake it off. It's syncopated. Do do do. But it has comes in on the downbeat and it lands on the G on the offbeat. So again, it sounds like it's something resolved, but because that resolution is coming on a weaker beat, 2 or 4, it lets the song keep pulling forward, and then we just get to go back into the chorus again. We get to repeat, and like I said, it's just pop masterpiece how it's constructed. So little things like that, just the 2 3 1 2 3 1, that would normally be in an older song, turns into this earworm. I know I use earworm a lot. Turns into this earworm, this hook that makes us just want to keep going and hear more of it. Yeah, man. And that's the magic of Take It Off right there. Like, that's the way it's constructed. That's why we're still singing it now. Why many reasons, but is one of many reasons why the Eras Tour made a bajillion dollars and Taylor Swift was able to buy her catalog back, which is awesome. Okay, well, so takeaways from that: you could be using 3 chords, you could be using the pentatonic scale, and you could be using almost the same melody over 3 or 4 bars in a row, and you can still make it into a pop hit if you know what to do with it. I think that's all for today. So until next time, and as always, until next time, or as always, like, comment, subscribe to this if you enjoy this and want to see more. Check out my other channel, How Pop Music Works, for stuff that's a little more pre-recorded and edited, that goes deeper into these songs and their history and how they're put together. And until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of someone else, and have a good day.